Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome back. Fishhooks here, and we're gonna play a little bit more Kerbal. I just can't get enough of it lately, so enjoying my vacation week here, and I figure I may as well just play quite a bit. Love this game, though. All right, if you watched our last two episodes, you know we did some mooner stuff. We went and did a flyby of the moon. The next logical progression was for us to then do a low orbit mission around the moon where we did some temperature scans. Now, let's look at our existing missions. So now we're going to stay in Kerbal orbit, which I know sounds like a regression, but it's cool because this is going to teach us new skills and I think give us an ability to start prototyping a lander. So what we're going to do here is try to rescue 3 Kerbals who are stranded in space. I'll show you what that looks like. There are 3 Kerbals who are stranded in space, 2 of them relatively close to one another, and another one way off. I'm going to try to do all of this in one mission. And to do that, I'm going to try to create a spacecraft that launches me into low Kerbal orbit with multiple pods for pilots and whatnot. Now the landing can. I'm going to need 3 people in here, right? So I think I'm going to launch a robotic mission. So I don't believe I am going to put a pilot in this. I think I'm going to launch this as a robotic mission and then have empty space for 3 Kerbals to come home. That's my idea, at least. So got to remember which one of these allows for patched conics. I don't know if it tells me here or not. Remote pilot assist available. Hibernation mode resource. I don't know if that's what we're talking about or not. They both have remote pilot assist available. So I'm going to use the the Octo. That's the one we're going to use as our base. And then on that, I'm going to put... you know what we'll do, we're going to have that be empty. So let's shoot. What happened here? All right, now we're talking. All right, so what we're going to do is put this little guy, though, inside our materials bay. And that's what we're going to control with. Zoom in. We're not going to do any science in this mission whatsoever. This is strictly going to be a rescue mission. Can I set that we're going to control it from here? I guess not. So as soon as we get on the launch pad, we're going to tell it to control from there. So what I'm going to build here is going to look a lot like a lander. And that's very much by design. I think. Yeah, let's go ahead and build something that looks like a lander. It'll be good practice for what we're going to be working on next. What do we have here? Mark II crew cabin. We'll rotate that bad boy as well. Keep everything symmetrical. Ooh, too much. Getting a little bit finicky here. Okay, so now we have room for 3 Kerbals. So let's eliminate Jeb. And let's go ahead and save our work here as Rescue 1. We're going to save that. All right, so now if this were really a lander, we would need landing struts on this little guy, except to say that we also need, engines. So do I have what I need for that yet? I do have some micro landing struts. Let's go invest some of the science that we made last mission. I've got 200 science. Landing struts and whatnot cost 90. Heavy lifting. The poodle. You know what we're going to need on this mission is RCS. So where be that? Do I already have RCS unlocked? No, no. Where the heck is the RCS stuff? Need to find the RCS thrusters and fuel tanks. Well, here we go. Oh, so does that mean I already have it? Okay, so I do already have RCS capabilities. Excellent. We'll need to make sure we put that on this little guy as we build it out. So let's go ahead and research our landing pieces. What's that? Launch escape system. I've never tried to use that. I usually cop out and just revert the mission like a chump. We won't be doing any docking this run, but we will be practicing some of the skills that it takes to do it. I love the little blurbs. As convenient as it is fashionable, this part actually won a modern art design prize. Doesn't tell you a damn thing about what it does, but that's okay. It's obviously a small liquid fuel tank for small probes and landers. Okay, we're gonna continue to resist the urge to buy the big power. I'm gonna resist my inner Clarkson. Alright, so let's think about the lander's makeup here. We want to spread the load laterally. The taller the lander, the harder it is to effectively land. So we are gonna we're going to attach some legs off to the side. Let's just do one for the moment, and then we'll build out one leg and then replicate it over. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, let's put a little engine on there. A little engine that could. We'll use Terriers. That's really the best option I have at the moment. And then we'll put some landing gear on there. The LT1s. That should be nice. We'll increase the strength of our dampener. Alright, let's strut this little guy up. Strut our stuff. Should I have done that in pairs? See if that'll... Nope. Just have to eyeball it. that should be relatively stable on that side. Let's go ahead and put some arrow on here. Bam. And I'm going to go ahead and put some parachutes on there too. Can I use the big ones? Oh, you know what? Let's use the big ones as nose cones. There we go. Huh. Go ahead and get some electrical charge on here. I'm going to go ahead and haul some science into space with me. Kind of adding some weight here. When I do the true lander version, I'll rethink some of the weight distribution here. And we're going to do a quick launch pad test after I get the other two modules attached. I like to build out one piece in its entirety and then just stamp it over using the symmetry tool. It's, for me, kind of the best way to go about it. Okay, how are we feeling about this? Let's go ahead and put, oh, you know what I don't have is RCS or a reaction wheel on here. We need both of those, I think. Oh, and I suppose we should also probably consider putting put the stabilizer on here. Okay, so we got a stabilizer. We're gonna need ablators, like in lots of places. Something about this feels wrong. Oh, RCS fuel. I already said what felt wrong. Where's my RCS fuel tanks? Monopropellant, there we go. We'll nest this inside of our strut work. Okay, it's not too shabby. I guess. I'll see how it would be communicating fuel to the RCS thruster, but whatever. Deal with it. Alright, what else? What else would you want on that section? You've got room for 3 Kerbals. You've got fuel for landing. The part that we take to the moon probably won't have this. So I'll figure out maybe a center engine or some fuselage or some more science goodies for that part when we actually go to the moon. Ablators. Okay, let's rethink this right here. I think what we're going to want to do is put a heat shield here. But then that means that it means the strut needs to connect to the science part, not to the engine. I think I can bring it down successfully without... Oh, what did I do just now? There we go. Okay. I think I can bring it down as a whole piece. If not, we'll find out the hard way. Total experiment here. Let's consider staging for just a moment. Obviously this is going to be first. Parachutes next. Alright, let's go ahead and duplicate this out. 3-leg tripod design. Very nice. Extend these. Very, very nice. Alright, let's take that bad boy out to the launch pad and just test the lander real fast. It may or may not even have enough power to get off the ground as it is. Let's throw... I want to do a test, so we're going to throw just a little booster on the bottom of it to get it off the ground. Just want to get it off the ground and test the landing stability. That, then that. Ah! Maybe I should have kept a little more gas in that thing. It really burned out quickly. It's like, throttle up, we're out of gas. Standard landing gear. Eject that little booger. I think Kerbin's atmosphere might be a little too aggressive for this little booger at the moment. Or gravity, I should say. Alright, trying it again. I'm going to go ahead and extend the gear. Start with all of the engines firing. Testing stuff on Kerbin is difficult, and I know that there are ways you can do hacks and change your save file to where you're starting in Moon or Orbit or wherever your destination is to test the equipment at your destination, but that kind of takes the fun away of planning. It's not going to be able to support this on Kerbin's gravity. Perfect landing. Nailed it. 10 out of 10. Would do again. Revert. Revert. Okay. I'm going to, I guess, trust that this thing is good enough to get me... that it's good enough to get me to... well, how the hell am I going to land it? I think that's going to be fine in the lunar gravity, but then when I get back, how am I going to control its descent? Well, I guess I'll have the big parachutes. Okay, one more test with parachutes deployed. One more test with parachutes deployed this time. Boom and then boom, right? Oh, hang on, I took off my SRB. Revert, revert. Let's put that back on there real quickly. In fact, we'll put a bigger one on there. Okay, that looks nice and stable. Those are some big freaking parachutes, so let's see when they deploy. What do you got? Oh yeah, this is perfect. We'll go ahead and do the landing. But 6 meters per second, those legs should be able to easily absorb that. So, if this is a successful little landing, then what we will have learned is that I can land this from orbit as long as it'll survive re-entry. I mean, that's the next major test that we don't know an answer to at the moment. Okay, 6 meters per second was too much. I should have throttled up there, which I'm comfortable doing. Okay, so I know what to do to get that on the ground. It's just a matter now of figuring out how to get it back into the atmosphere. That's the worrisome part at the moment. So let's think about that for just a moment. I can't put ablators down here. Okay. So idea, I think what we'll do is put our science juniors on the bottom. Of the fuel tank. And then we're going to relocate this little booger up some, relocate this down some, and we're going to use a side mounted engine. Even though they're way too powerful and less efficient, we're going to use this little guy for thrust. Well, maybe here. Oh crap. Alright, you know what we need is some power on the side here. What am I looking for? Unlimited power. Which reminds me, I guess we need a battery. Okay, so what I like about this, is that we have places where we can put our ablators for re-entry. What I don't like is that these engines are just vastly overpowered for the application of a lander. They're really too powerful. But You know what? We're going to give it a whirl here anyway. Let's try that. I think these engines will lift it by itself without the booster. But watch how fast they burn through the fuel. It's going to be nuts. Well, actually, it's not as bad as I thought. Little guy's moving pretty nicely. We'll have to build a launch platform to get it. To get it up there. Don't pull it apart. Alright, so gear extended. And let's look at our speed coming down this time. If I need to put more gear on it, I will. Okay, so falling at 7 meters, 6 meters per second. Deploy shielded, what does that mean? I don't know what that means, deploy shielded. Something I guess we can experiment with later. Why is it cockeyed? Oh, turn off SAS. Well, that's still weird. I wonder why that's imbalanced. Oh, I guess the engines are imbalancing it. Yeah. Well, if I take the engines and match them to the side pods, that'll probably help with that. Let's do that. Balance matters. It's still crooked. Now it seems like it's crooked. Well, that's not too bad, I guess. But I don't like that it's not balanced. I wonder if it'll be that way in space. Like when I'm trying to land on the moon. Okay, that wasn't bad. Alright, I'll call that a success, and we'll now focus on a launch stage. So, it means we've got ablaters in all these places. So now what we want to do is do some decoupling. Let's build the center stack first. Hopefully this doesn't interfere with those engines. Find out the hard way. We'll do a test in a minute. Alright, so let's build out... you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this, and I'm going to go grab my asparagus staged launch platform and save a parts group to it. What was it? Low Orbiter, Moon Orbiter 2. That's what it was, right? Yeah, okay. So, if I remember correctly, we can do sub-assemblies, yeah. I want to get everything from this down. We're going to call this a 7 engine asparagus stage ascent module. Right, that's a fancy name. Alright, let's load, don't save the Rescue 1. And let's pull this sub-assembly straight in there. Oh, hang on. Because that includes an ablator. Alright, now, I know that looks hairy, and it is hairy. It may not work. I think we'll do a little strutting here to be safe. If this doesn't work, I'll come back and redesign the bottom section to match up with these guys. So, but we'll see if we can make it work real fast. Where the heck did that go? There's no way in the world this should work, but whatever. These struts are the most finicky parts to work with. Tell me that you would get into a ship that was designed like this. You would not. You'd walk out to that launch pad and be like, no, thank you. Shoot. It's like that scene in the book The Martian. You know, they're sending me to space in a convertible. That's about what this is. Okay, we're going to test this. This is not going to work. Asparagus staging should be carried over from what we had. And we'll add a stage here. Our parachutes will all go off at the same time. Okay, I'm not really caring at the moment where our guys are in space. Normally I would try to coordinate the launch to be close to where they're at, you know, so that I can be efficient, but this is strictly a launch test. Okay, gear works. It's relatively stable on the platform here. Let's launch her, see what happens. Now eventually what I'll do is I'll put a, you know, if this launcher ends up being successful, if the lander, excuse me, ends up being successful, I'll just build a lander, get it into space, and leave it in space with coupling capability, and then just use different launch platforms to bring fuel up to it. Sometimes getting landers into space is the most difficult thing. And so this sort of mission is actually really important. You're learning orbital rendezvous, which if you look at the real space program, that was the whole purpose of Gemini, was to figure out orbital rendezvous and orbital maneuvering. $4,500. I don't think this is accelerating as quickly as our low orbit Lunar mission. I should have put some lights on this thing. Think of that for next time. Boom! Dropping bombs. Oh man, Jebediah's in it. That's okay. That's alright. This is just a test. Go ahead and do a gravity turn. Stability is kind of rough. I forgot to eject that weight. But you know what? This isn't going terribly. What's our apoapsis? 24. This might actually get to orbit. This might actually get there. Let's just point prograde here. Apoapsis is 39. It may or may not. You know what? I think it will. It's steady as a rock right now. Just point prograde and drive velocity. I think this is going to do it, just as it is. Okay, so I have a choice. I can go ahead and complete this mission with 2 of them. I can grab these 2 dudes and then bring the 3rd one back down in a separate mission. Or I can abandon this. If I'm successfully in orbit, I can abandon this one and then launch a second. Oh, I'm losing altitude. Okay, that's just because my orbital insertion was too aggressive. I think this platform works. Let's get Jebediah out of there, use the computer, and launch that exactly as it is. With lights, though. With lights. Los luz.
I was wondering if maybe you'd like to go to the beach and maybe get a coffee after.
You want to get a coffee? Huh?
That's alright.
Is that alright? Alright, landing lights, please. And approach lights, please. All right. Nobody on board, right? Nobody snuck on? Okay. Doors are not obstructed in case I need to get to them. Look at that. All lit up pretty. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. We'll be less aggressive on the roll this time. Oh, SAS, turn it on. There we go. robot. This is a probed mission, so no people on board, no crew. That means I've got very minimal. Basically, just got SAS on and off. I can't point retrograde or point prograde. Asparagus stage 1. Pardon me. It's my on schedule 11 o'clock spam call. Alright, preparing for asparagus stage 2. Should be right around 10,000 meters, and then we'll begin our G-turn. Roll a little bit. Okay, gravity turn. I really should have timed my launch. I forgot to do that. So if this fails for whatever reason, we'll time our launch to start closer to our stranded Kerbal brethren. Just means we'll have to do some more time acceleration and waiting in Kerbal orbit here. It's not going to make a fuel difference, but it makes a time difference. Just makes the mission longer. Okay, we're still accelerating. That's good. I'm going to keep it above prograde at the moment. I want to gain some more altitude. What altitude are these guys at? 82, 77. So I don't need a very high altitude. We'll cut it off at 75. I feel like this is using a lot of fuel to get this little guy into orbit. That's okay. I brought a lot of fuel, so I guess that works out. In fact, I think this thing's so underpowered that I'd be safest to push out past their orbit, maybe to around 90. Actually, starting to get low on fuel here. So I think this launch platform will work to get a lander into space, but then not past that. Oh, hold on. I forgot I had this whole other stage. Alright. Never mind. Consternation not necessary. 100%. I still don't think this is going to get us there. This is not going to get us there. We're coming up on apoapsis too quickly. We're just going to brush space. What if I fire these little guys? Heyo. Okay, things are exploding. That's not good, right? What did I blow up? This is a terrible idea. I'm just burning all of my fuel here. Alright, how are we doing on fuel? 421. That might have saved us. Let's shut those guys back down. And then we will RCS test. I don't remember very well how to use them. Okay, so we're going to use our Terrier again when we get closer to apoapsis to try to do a proper insertion burn. This is really sloppy so far. But, you know, the first time you launch a new craft, it's sloppy. You're learning. That's why NASA has supercomputers. They simulate all this stuff before doing a live launch. I think this is going to work. I'm not sure that I've got enough fuel for orbital maneuvering, but so far this is not terrible. Okay, we got a periapsis. Good. All right, we've got orbit. Slightly elliptical orbit. We've still got... I think we're okay. I think we can proceed with this mission. All right, so what do we want to do first? We can slow, so we go out into a more elliptical orbit to allow this dude, who's going to be moving quicker, to catch up, or we can decrease our orbit and catch up. I think it'll be more efficient to increase our orbit and allow, who's this? Alderoy. We're going to set him as our target to catch up. Now, if you haven't played Kerbal, let's talk about Orbital Rendezvous just real quickly. I set Alderoy as my target, right? So that's the thing I want to intersect with. Now notice these intersection points. These are basically the closest points at which, the points at which I'll be closest to Alderoy. The ascending node's 1.4, and on the other one, okay, so what this is telling me is, at this point, when I'm here, I'll be 1.2 million meters away, which is, of course, too far. And my ascension, my orbital plane, because my launch was so sloppy, is a little off. So what we'll want to do is schedule a burn here at my ascending node that both levels off the plane oops, that's not what I meant to do. Stop it with the shift. Let's cancel that real quickly because I touched stuff. Let's let this ship go by. Add maneuver. Okay, so what we're going to want to do is burn to level off and we'll increase our orbit dramatically. So what I'm going to be watching for here is I want to see let's pick a spot. No bueno. It's just not improving. Okay. Been a long while since I've done this, but what I'm trying to do is get either the two purples or the two oranges close to one another. That's when rendezvous happens. And right now it's just looking pretty crappy. Oh, you know what? Because my own orbit is too high at this point. So I'm at apoapsis now. Let's bring down my periapsis to match his. What was his periapsis? Alright, his altitude is 82. My periapsis is right now 79. So I'm gonna bring down. Let's point retrograde. I'm going to bring my periapsis down to 73 or so. Close to the atmosphere, but not all up in its business. I want to give myself a little bit of flex room. And then when I get to the periapsis, then I'll balloon out my my apoapsis, and that should help me get the rendezvous point. Okay, that should be good. I think. I frankly don't remember very well, obviously. Oh, here we go. So you see how these two purples are pretty close? That's what we're going to play with. So right now we would come in at a relative velocity of 299 meters per second at 14 kilometers apart. So let's bring kilometers. We're going the wrong way. I want to bring it down. $15. $6. Okay, we're getting close now. I'd like to get it under 3. .9 9 3 kilometers. Okay, I can work with 3 kilometers. So that's going to mean a 53-second burn when I get to my node here. I wonder if I can transfer. don't have the ability yet to transfer fuel, do I? Oh well. It's a bummer. I think, I mean, that's enough to get me back from the moon, right? So we'll just trust. All right, let's get situated for our burn. It's going to happen in 13 seconds. Let's do this from the map view. Oh, it's only a 5-second burn. Interesting. Nope, 50-second burn. I think it was basing the 5 seconds on the fact that I've got 4 engines in that firing group. So it was basing it on that available thrust as opposed to the amount of thrust that I'm actually using with just that center engine. I am worried about fuel because those 3 landing engines are so inefficient. We'll just do our best. We'll at least rescue one guy this mission and we can send it back up for another. Alright, where'd we end up? 35 kilometers, so we missed. If I use RCS to try to correct, turn off SAS, let me remember here. That's breaking. All right, so we're just using RCS thrusters here to fine tune since I'm worried about my main propellant. Okay, 1.7. That's actually really close. Okay. It's relatively close for someone who hasn't done this in a while. So, think about this then real quickly from an orbital mechanics point of view. It takes more relative velocity to maintain orbit at a lower altitude. So even though I increased my speed, right, I increased my delta V to get to this higher altitude, at my apoapsis, I'm traveling at a lower relative velocity to the surface of the planet than Alderoy will be, right? So if you think about this geosynchronous orbit, if I were to put a satellite into geosynchronous orbit, meaning it's always over Chicago, you know, it never isn't, then it would be somewhere out here like 3 million meters or so. So that would keep it over the exact same place relative to the ground, right? So the farther away from the ground, the higher the altitude, the less the relative velocity. And so what I'm doing is using altitude to create relative deceleration. He's moving faster than me relative to the ground, and so I need to move slower relative to the ground so that he can catch up. So watch the way this plays out when I do time acceleration. I will go out high, and he will stay low and actually catch up, and then we'll meet back here. So check this out. So you can see me cruising out. Notice my speed, my relative orbit speed is dropping pretty dramatically. Whereas he's staying a pretty constant 2,200 meters per second, and I'm going 1,600. So see how he's catching up. Nice. should be able to start seeing him come into view over here. There he is. So you can see here that he's 77 whatchamacallits away, kilometers away. Okay, now I got to remember now how to decelerate relative to my target. So let's, I can't lock that on. Let's turn off RCS. We'll just use the reaction wheel. I need to remember that looks like the retrograde, and that's prograde. Okay, so the purple indicators are what I'm looking for here. I need to slow down relative to him. I'm going 200 meters per second, 300 meters per second faster than he is, relative velocity. So when my distance gets down to 8 kilometers remaining or so, I'll begin a burn that will slow down my approach to him and match his orbit. And at that point, I'll have him get out of his spacecraft and come over to mine. Still worried about fuel. It wasn't a very efficient launch, and then it's really not a very efficient design. It's done fine getting the lander into space, and I think what I'm going to do is put coupling onto the next version of this lander, put it in space, and just leave it up there for moon and Minmus landings, and just reuse the lander over and over. So I'll have to have the ability to transfer fuel and resources, as well as anyway, that and coupling. I hate it when I lose my train of thought when I start thinking about two things at one time. 16 kilometers. Think back to the Gemini missions. They used to have the Gemini spacecraft docking, trying to locate and dock these computer-controlled craft that were set up prior to the actual mission. They were sent up into an orbit, and then the job of the team was to go up there and intersect with it, dock with it, undock with it, and then land. Okay, so let's begin our deceleration burn relative here. You can see here my relative target velocity is 288. I think I waited too long before I did this. Yeah, we blew right by it. Should have started my braking much earlier. Okay, so this sucks. I've got to now correct everything. Wasting a lot of fuel. It's not too late to abort this mission and restart it. Smarter with the learning. Oh crap, I didn't get all three of them activated. Activate. So I'm pointing at my retrograde marker there. It's retrograde relative to the other craft. Ha! That's using a lot of gas. Alright, now we're flying toward him at 21 meters per second. We'll use RCS here. Since I'm so low on liquid fuel, I think we're just going to rescue this homeboy and then yeah, we're just going to rescue this guy, land and do a test landing here. Let's just speed up time. What's our closest approach right now? 3.3 kilometers. Okay, let's find our retrograde marker. Continue to slow my velocity relative to him. We'll wait though until we get to about until about 4. We're going to wait till we get to about 4 kilometers. Just kill our relative velocity. Alright, that's about as close to dead relative velocity as we're going to get. And so now let's just aim at him and put it at about 20 meters per second. Alright, we're flying directly toward him now at 29 meters per second. Which should make our closest approach very, very close. 0.1 kilometers, that's what I'm talking about. And then as we get closer, we will use our OMS engines to decelerate. I could have him get out at this point. No, I can't yet. It's still too far away. I'm hoping that this little guy is able to re-enter the atmosphere okay. I'm a little worried about these engines overheating with direct contact with the air. But I'm just hoping that hey, I can get science out of these. Is it because of the biome? Guess that's true. I guess I'd have to have crew to do a crew report, huh? Okay, let's RCS. Decelerate with RCS. Alright, let's... Okay, 6.5 meters per second. Relative velocity, we're going to swap over and tell him to do an EVA. Turn on his lights, and we're going to let go, and we're going to find... Where's the other ship? Oh, there it is. Okay. So say goodbye to your derelict capsule, and let's go. Alright, so now I'm cruising toward Rescue 1 at 3.1 meters per second. Go ahead and accelerate that a little bit. 10 meters per second. We'll slow that down as we get closer. So a little half-kilometer spacewalk. I guess full kilometer spacewalk, whatever. Like a kilometer is a long way in space. Bum 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 ba da da. Alright, let's begin to slow it down. Less than 100 meters away. That's a rescue jam right there. Excited, bro? See if we can stage a little picture moment here for the thumbnail. I hate it when I lose control of my Kerbal. Alright. Alright. Alt enter. Snipping. Window. This window, please. I think that ought to work. My little lander. About to find out if it's able to re-enter. Gonna do an EVA report. Hey, some more science. You, sir, have been rescued. Can I transfer crew? Yes. Transfer crew, transfer to this module. So now, let's see what he sees. See, nice little passenger area. Alright, so we've learned that we can transfer crew. That's good. Little roll for funsies. You lucky jerk. Alright. Okay. So, let's now go land. We are not going to try to go after these other two guys. We're just way too low on fuel to even think about it. So, shall we once again try a precision landing? Or do we care? What's our current apoapsis and periapsis? They're both really low. I shouldn't have any trouble getting into the atmosphere here. Alright. Turn off RCS. Let's get pointed. Let's remove our target. We need to unset the target. Wherever the hell the target is. There it is. Alright, no target. That means we now need our orbital retrograde. There it was. Should have just gone around the horn. Alright, periapsis looking good. We're about to find out if this thing can survive re-entry. If not, we'll have to set up a rescue for the rescue. Nah, we just revert. and launch this thing to stay up there and then do a separate rescue mission. We're once again going to try to do a precision landing near the KSC. I keep having opportunities to do it and failing miserably, and so we're going to give it another whirl here. Alright, my ballistic course is set. Is there anything I should set or stage? I wish I could detach these engines, but I go ahead and shut them down though. I don't think that'll do anything, but let's point retrograde. I'll have to manually manage that with the computer flying. He's an engineer, so he can't do it. If this succeeds in getting down safely, then I think we will have proven that this will be a good mooner lander as well. Alright, we are in the atmosphere. Let's hope these bad boys don't just explode. Because if they do, they're so central, I'm afraid that they'll take off the side pods. It's okay to build a craft that isn't designed to come home, but this one needs to be able to. We finally going to get a daytime landing? Oh my goodness. I've been landing at night. Alright, what's our relative velocity here? 2140 and accelerating, but the friction will slow us down as soon as we're deeper into the atmosphere. With all the stuff I've been doing being single stack, I'm a little thrown off by the fact that this is such a large craft re-entering. Okay, hoping the gear don't burn off. What are you seeing? And you're still smiling? You crazy thrill seeker. You must be a rad snowboarder. A little unstable here. Very unstable here. Uh-oh. Ooh, saved it. Okay. That was sketchy. Alright, come on, come on, come on, come on. Save it, save it, save it. Hey, there's KSC over there. Alright, come on. Just let me deploy my chutes. Please let me deploy my chutes. Alright, so she survived re-entry. Now, is she slow enough to activate these chutes? Some debris over there. I wonder if that's my wonder if that's that Science Junior that I left out in the ocean. Oh, safe to deploy. Cool. Make sure all of them are before I do so. Yeah. Good. I think this works. I'm going to turn off SAS and turn on RCS. Go ahead and turn on the gear, though that won't matter going into the water. Man, look how close we are. This is so cool. Getting better at this. You made it home, buddy. I'm so happy for you. um, I don't know about using this thing for Duna or whatever. It's kind of hairy on the approach. We'll have much more technology available to us at that point anyway. Let's slow ourselves down a bit here. Got all this monopropellant, we may as well utilize it. Alright, shoots deploy. Nice. 6 meters per second, are you kidding me? Go ahead and retract the gear. Hey, this thing's pretty successful, man. Oh, this is why those stupid things were overheating. I failed to close the doors after taking the samples. So not only did we successfully test our launch vehicle and our lander's ability to re-enter, we also rescued a Kerbal and got 75 science. This was really successful. Really successful. Time warp on down. And just to preserve the craft, we're going to thrust. Try to shave off just 1 or 2 more meters per second. Look at there. Well, let's recover it. That was pretty successful. I mean, I didn't get 66% of the people that I went up to get, but 39 science. Interesting. I thought I got 75. 2 XP gain. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, so what do we need to change about our craft? Anything? Wonder. I wonder if we can add a little more fuel to this stage for orbital maneuvering. I mean, it's just going to make it heavier at launch, but I feel like if it was hamstrung anywhere, it was there, you know? At that point, should I just do one of these? And also, what does that mean for docking? Okay, so we're going to lose this parachute, and don't yet have a docking thing. Okay, we'll just put that parachute back on then. I'm just a little bit worried about weight now. So I think what we'll do is add some chutes to these boogers. So these will deploy first for deceleration, and then the rest of them for stabilization and this final descent.
How you manage to be conscious, how you manage to grow and shape this body of yours. That doesn't mean to say that you're not doing it.
Oh man, I lost that strutting.
Equally, you don't know how the universe shines the stars, constellates the constellation, and galactifies the galaxies. You don't know.
Galactifies the galaxies, you guys.
That doesn't mean to say that you aren't doing it in just the same way as you're breathing without knowing how you breathe.
Galactifies the galaxies. If I've ever heard a nonsense term, that would be it. Well, that and it's sacred. Oh, that was a mistake. How did I do that before? I feel like I'm doing this entirely different than I did last time. It's okay. Just need the struts to be connected. It doesn't care that much the method in which they're connected. Okay, let's make sure there's no crew snuck in. Alright. Actually, you know, now I'm only getting 2 of them. I'll go ahead and take Valentina. She'll fly. That way I can use retrograde and prograde. I'm going to pause. Be right back. Okay, so we've got Valentina in the ship. We've got, let's check our staging. We're going to fire all lower stage and then asparagus, asparagus, asparagus. And then our main orbital stage here, which will be even less effective because I'm carrying more fuel up top. I wonder if maybe I should replace the Terrier. Maybe that's our secret here. Probably have to redo this stupid strutting again. Let's put a more powerful engine in here instead of the Terrier. I think that will help with the orbital insertion. It'll burn through this fuel faster, but it just provides a lot more thrust. And I'm hoping that'll mean that I have more left over in the lander. All right, let's run with that. Rescue 2. Now, this time, I'm going to assume for a moment that this launch will be successful with the redesigns. And with that assumption in mind, we need to think about where these dudes are. It takes time for me to launch and get into space. And so these guys need to be about here for me to be relatively close to intersecting with them. Okay, that's the debris we don't care about. We're going to kill that debris later. I think once they get to this peninsula here, that's when I'll launch. And that should put me roughly close to them whenever I get into space. So we'll time accelerate just a tad. See what that looks like on the ground here. Sun's just rising. And he's over the peninsula. I'm going to go ahead and launch now. SAS on. Thank you, Valentina. Throttle up, 100%, and fire. Let's see how it goes. I'm a little worried about that strutting being too sloppy, that it's not going to hold it properly. Especially as the asparagus stages drop off, they'll, lose support to the lander. I think I made a couple of good modifications there, though, for balance and putting the side pods onto, more centered on the landing engines. Preparing to separate. Stage. (2,000 meters) climbing. See, homeboy's coming up pretty quick. I one time did a sort of Al Shepard recovery mission early in the game, years ago. I timed it just right to where the dude was coming over, and I never even put myself into orbit. I just, whoa. Never even put myself into orbit. I just happened to intersect with him. That's just the stuff hitting the ground. I happened to intersect with him on my launch. I mean, I launched, and my apoapsis at launch was exactly matched to where he was, and I just did a really quick change. Oh, okay. I got a little fuzzy. So I've lost strutting. That's why that happened. I got flex in the craft. So I'm a little worried about this now. We're just going to manage it. It was a sloppy launch last time too. So we'll just manage it and see if we can make it work. Let's begin our gravity turn. Being gentle with it. I don't want to do any aggressive movements with how top heavy I think this thing is. Roll so that the engines are at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock relative to the surface. Apoapsis of 18. What was that? Okay, we're still good. This one doesn't feel as good as the last one. Okay, center engine is firing, but I don't think we're getting this one to space. I think I added too much weight. Really wobbly. We're still accelerating, but our apoapsis is basically horizontal now. So we're gaining altitude very slowly, and that's bad. Now we're losing altitude. Nope, this redesign did not work. Revert. Let's reopen Rescue 1. If I just use this and do a smarter launch, is that enough? Let's just do that. We will put these all together, but we'll limit the thrust of these to 50%. That will use less fuel, but still provide significantly more power than we were getting on the first try. So it's a pretty significant change. We'll call this Rescue 3. Rescue 2 was pretty abysmal. And preparing to throttle. Boom! Sucker! Starting to get hungry. I think I'm gonna go make myself a salad in a minute. Stage 1 down. Damn it, Jebediah, did you sneak back in? You are a spotlight hog. That's what you are. I'm telling you, Valentina's going to be the first one on the moon. There, Mr. Yeah, you better thumbs up. Trying to all Buzz Aldrin this action. Preparing to separate stage 2. Stage 2 separated. And begin gravity turn. Oh man, I didn't wait. They're not too far off. And this is a bit of a slow launch anyway, with this craft. Alright, speed's picking up nicely, about to break 400 meters per second, altitude's rising nicely, we're almost out of the atmosphere. Let's go ahead and pitch over some more. Put it at the 45, keeping it on the 90. So because our orbits will be closer this time, I won't have to do nearly as big an elliptical. I won't have to do nearly as big of an elliptical orbit for the intersection. Let's see what I'm talking about in a minute. You know, the first time we were almost a half a planet apart. Okay, nearly got an apoapsis in space. It's kind of the same thing as last time though, where I'm going to need the assist of those 3 lander engines to get me the rest of the way there, to actually get into orbit. I mean, I can get into space with this one just fine, but orbit's a bit of a different beast. I'm just aiming a little higher than my prograde. Just trying to gain more altitude at the moment. What's your altitude there, bro? 77. It's looking okay. Let's go ahead and start firing prograde. Stage should be running out shortly, And then we'll use our other 4 engines to force the orbital insertion. That 50% limiter might have been a little too limited. Let's see if we get lucky. Oh! Oh! Okay. Ha! That's because the engines are gimbling. What's blowing up though? Okay, so I think what we'll have to do... Alright. Let's bump these up to 75%, but then take the gimbal off. Wish I... Still feel like part of the answer is removing the Terrier here. It's either that or I'm putting the science juniors on top of the fuel tanks and putting Terriers down here. But we already kind of experimented with that first and it didn't work. Alright, I'm going to get back up to high altitude and I'll cut back in. No need for you to watch the same exact thing again. Okay, coming back here, so here's the situation. I've dropped my last asparagus stage. We are back on the main booster now, and I'm just keeping a little bit more of a vertical attitude here. Going to try to force a slightly higher apoapsis before we lean over and burn. We have our landing engines ungimbaled, which what was hurting before is that the gimbaling allows the actual engine nozzle to rotate. And when I would rotate the ship, that fire, the exhaust, would be shot at the fuel tank here. And that's why explosions were happening, and that's bad. Okay, let's continue to angle down a little bit, keeping it full throttle. We're at the 45 now, a little bit lower. This is feeling okay. And I'm tempted to cut the engine here and let it coast a bit, but based on how weak the Terrier stage is, I'm going to just allow this to continue to burn and build the apoapsis a little higher than I actually wanted. So we'll just fire this and let the apoapsis be what it is. I feel better about this velocity here. So you see how that rear engine is pivoting there when I change my yaw. That's what the lander engines were doing, which is great. It's fine. It's what they're meant to do. But it's not so great when you're pointing that thrust directly at fuel tanks. So the heat interacts with the tank, and the tank interacts with the fuel, and the fuel explodes. Okay, let's point directly into prograde here. Drive that sideways velocity. Okay, we'll kill that. Set you as a target. I hate it when I accidentally if I unset myself as my target, I don't know how to reset myself to it without going through a whole cycle there. Maybe someone can tell me that in the comments. Okay, so our thrust is killed at the moment. We're pointing prograde, just getting ready to do a full-on orbital insertion. We'll fire it off at about 20 seconds, 25 seconds to go. Oh wow, look how close that intersection is. And I'm going to lose it because of the orbital insertion, most likely. That's why you time your launches, kids. Of course, what I can do is just get this close and then do the orbital insertion at that point, but that's a little bit risky. Once I have a periapsis over 70, I'll be able to adjust that back in. Feeling a bit better about fuel this time around. Periapsis 71. And let's turn on RCS and experiment real quickly here. What is the nature of our separation? Is it okay, that's not bad. Now, if I do a little manipulation with RCS, what is that doing to my ship? Crap. Probably just screwed that up. You know, I screwed up my relative speed pretty badly there. It's okay. We'll correct it with the engines when we get there. We'll just do it sooner than we did last time. But let's look and see. So we can already see 54 kilometers away. And what's our current closest approach? 12 kilometers. It's really far. Terribly inefficient. $11. $7 at 170. Okay, that's not bad. Let's do that. So we're actually decreasing our distance but increasing our relative velocity, but it's still better than the first guy that we saved because he had, you know, our relative velocity was something like 300 meters per second. This one's 165, so it's half as bad. Fuel's looking okay, I think. just happened? Oh no, did I run out of these things? Oh, that's no bueno. Okay. So that means you've got to get me home, little guy. Well, the good news is that Terrier is super efficient. So, okay, how far are you now? 11 kilometers. Let's start pointing retrograde to the target. I'm firing in such a way, like you notice that I'm down to the right. I'm firing opposite of my retrograde here. God, this is really hard to describe. My target is over here, right? And so I want my prograde marker to be on target. So I want to be flying toward this thing. And so that's why you see my numbers are going down here, both relative velocity and separation distance. So I should be able to kill the engine here and drift in at 30 meters per second or so and preserve some fuel for the second rescue. Three 3.2, 2.9, 2.7. If I can get it within a kilometer or so, I'll just do the same thing I did before. Go. All right, 0.4 of a kilometer. So let's time accelerate. Okay, and let's be ready to jump this homeboy off. Hey, where are you going? Where am I? There I am. So I've got to do some speeding up here. Oop, now I got to start slowing down. Way too fast. All right. We're succeeding here. Which side is the hatch on? Why am I going away from it? Every now and then you just sort of lose control of the Kerbal and you gotta rein them in. There's the hatch. Can I board? Oh, Jebediah needs to be moved. Doesn't he? Oh, hang on. I need to head back in. I know what I'm doing wrong. I'm still focused on him. I need to focus on Jeb. Transfer crew, transfer to here. And then we're going to toggle back to him. And board. I think I might have been able to board directly into there. I'm not sure. But we'll transfer him as well. Transfer crew, transfer there. And then we're going to transfer Jeb back because he's our pilot. Cool. We now have 2 Kerbals on board. Let's look at the next one. Unset target. All right. Current periapsis is 58. I need to accelerate. So let's point prograde. Actually, I don't know. I wonder if I interact with the atmosphere. That's a bit riskier. I think I'd rather do this with an elliptical orbit with a high apoapsis, and it won't take much fuel to do it. Won't take much fuel to do that little bit of relative distance change. That was relatively successful, though. It's coming down. 270 separation, 260, 300. So my bet is that the purple one's going to meet first. It's my current apoapsis 92. Yeah, purple one's coming into alignment quickly. That's not uncommon. You'll do your burn at a particular point around the planet and then reap the benefits of it at almost that same point again on the next orbit. I can't say I understand the reason behind that, but that's just the way it typically works out. Yeah, we'll be intersecting over here. Back on the night side. Fuel allowing, I wouldn't mind doing this one a little better. More like a real orbital rendezvous, where instead of it just being a really close flyby where there has to be a long EVA, I'd rather get the 2 ships right next to each other. Get a little practice in that. So I think that'll be the focus of this one, is to sort of mock up a more realistic EVA, more realistic orbital rendezvous, because I'll be needing to use that later when I'm starting to pull landers around. Okay, getting close, getting close. This looks like it's going to be a pretty good rendezvous too. Fuel is good. We're good. Five kilometer separation. 4. Relative velocity will be under 100 meters per second. That's awesome. Okay, 3 kilometer separation at 82 meters per second. 5. Okay, but I like the lower relative speed difference. So let's warp to here. 11 kilometers difference. We'll set ourselves to the target. And retrograde, please. Alright, our current close approach will be 5.5 at 73 meters per second. So what I want to do, since my target's retrograde is over there, I want to put my retrograde on top of it, right? So I'm going to go to regular SAS, go over here opposite about the same distance, and start firing. That will bring down my relative velocity and hopefully simultaneously close the distance gap. Trying to overlay those two markers on the nav ball. Because the result of that should be that I basically just come up and park next to that bad boy. Okay, that's a close approach. 2.5 kilometers at, I mean, it could be a lot closer to be honest, but at 30 meters per second. So now what I'll be able to do, turn off my SAS, and I'm just going to burn directly toward it, and get my velocity up to maybe, I don't know, 50 meters per second or so for this 5 kilometer distance. Pull it up to where our separation is almost null. Fuel, how we looking? We're okay. Point 0.7, 0.6, 0.5, 0.4, 0.3, 0.2. All right. We'll kill it there and then be ready to point retrograde. And I'm going to time accelerate until this gets under a kilometer, and then we'll decelerate for a pretend docking maneuver. And turn on my lights. L? No, U. Alright, relative velocity is now only 3 meters per second, separated by 127 meters. Okay, we'll turn on RCS for this. I don't like the way my RCS thrusters are behaving on a three-sided engine. I overshot. But this is why I'm doing this. I want to practice these RCS maneuvers. I have a feeling that I won't control any dockings from at least this lander. I think this is the lander I'm going to take to the moon. But I won't control dockings from it. I'll control dockings from whatever puller I use to get it there. Okay, let's just approach it at 2 meters per second. Yeah, kind of sloppy. I'm rusty. Shoot, too much. Like I said, kind of sloppy. I'm rusty. Orbital Rendezvous is some of the hardest stuff in game. It really is. Okay, let's stick it right there at 0.1 meters per second. And I need to fire backwards. One meter per second. So again, pretend docking here. You'll notice that our orbits are basically identical. So we would drift apart by 1.2 kilometers next time around the planet. I just want to get close enough to where I could, you know, theoretically dock with this little guy. And then we'll do a really short spacewalk over. And then we'll land and it'll be time to go eat, man. Just want to illuminate the freaking thing. Okay, that's really close. Let's pivot. We'll stop right there. Alright, 0 relative velocity, RCS off, SAS off, pivot to illuminate. Figure out my attitudes here. And there it is. I think you could imagine that we could get aligned for docking. I'll have to get better at it. That was all really sloppy and inefficient and terrible. I used to be pretty good at it. But I think it's one of those things like any other skill. You have to practice it regularly. I wonder if he can see his rescuer. No, I want him to. I'm going to maneuver. Let's see here. I guess that means I'll maneuver downward. So RCS on. Your savior's outside. That's kind of neat. That's kind of cool. Anyway, let's go ahead and get homeboy here out. That's just neat. I like it. EVA. Hey, where are you going? Thought we weren't going to do a long spacewalk this time. Actually, I wonder if we can abort this directly. Just curious. I don't know if he can or not. I don't think he can because there's no hatch. Alright, let's transfer jab over. Transfer crew, transfer to there, and then get this guy in. Alright, what are you, Dudorf? An engineer. So I've got an engineer, a pilot, and a scientist on board now. And we are ready to land. Where are we at on planet? We can once again try to do a precision landing. Why not? Turn off RCS and get pointed retrograde. I guess because Jeb isn't in the command capsule, I can't keep it pointed retrograde. Oh, orbital retrograde, please. All right, we've got 114 fuel to get us there. Periaps is 79. I am determined to land over here near Kerbal Space Center. I really am. And I'm sure there's a trick to it. I just don't know what it is. Another successful mission here, though. I'm happy with that. Okay, I think friction might do the trick from there. We're going to leave that booster attached for a moment, though. Point exactly retrograde. Oh, good. Now I can choose retrograde. I don't know why I couldn't before. Did I have time accelerated or something? Get over this continent and over our home continent of sort of Africa, or Africa Peninsula, Afreninsula. You just keep it pointed retrograde, you guys. $75,000 Oh, that's the wreckage. Okay, that's me. Let's go ahead and speed things up till I get in the atmosphere. Oh, that was fast. We're coming in. I think I might have undercut it this time. I think it's going to back up all the way to the mountains. Find out in a minute. I wish I could transfer fuel at this point. Oh, wrong button. What is it? Alt? Yeah, I don't have the ability yet. So transfer resources is one of the next things I need to unlock for any landing missions or coupling missions. Yeah, that's going to be short. Not seeing any wind shear yet. Give me some of that sweet, sweet friction. Let's see what we got. Yeah, it's going to come back way too short. Get good, Ben. Get good. Like if no more deceleration were to happen, it'd be just about perfect right now. But obviously that friction is going to cause a lot more deceleration. I don't even think I'm going to clear the mountains. See, now it's back in the grasslands. How's my heat? No worries on heat. Good. A little bit of worries on heat. Right now we're looking at a mountain landing, but I think it's going to come back to these foothills. Okay. Looks like we're going to be able to save the booster maybe. Let's see what it does to velocity. I might eject it late. Oh, drogue chutes. I thought I put drogue chutes on this thing. Oh, that was with the 2 design that I abandoned. Risky, safe. Okay. Let's let it fall for a minute. Oh. Okay, I guess I'm not bringing that back. Turn off SAS. Let it fall free. Time accelerate. Let's get it down. Let's go ahead and extend our gear. Landing must be right at noon. Sun's directly overhead. 6.5 meters per second. Surface velocity. Let's pay attention to our shadow. Nothing we can do to arrest our rate anyway. So, see how the legs do. Nearly down. Killed the time acceleration. See if I can correct that roll. Hey, that's not bad. All right. Crew report. Hey, a little bit of science. EVA. Who's up there? What do you mean activate a hatch? I need to move you up. Transfer crew, Jebediah to there. Can't plant a flag, can't take a surface sample. Okay. Well, let's recover homeboy here. You're on a ladder. Alright, cancel that. Let's put Jeb back in the ship board. There's no way he'll be able to get back in at this juncture, so we'll recover him separately. I think. I might have to go back out there and get him. I might have to do a Kerbin mission to save him. Build a little car. Let's see if I'm able to recover him, destroy some debris and stuff. Recover. Yeah. Cool. Rescue 1 debris. Let's destroy it. Scrap. Destroy it. Wreckage. Destroy it. Autoroids derelict. Destroy it. Debris. Destroy it. Oh, recover it. Orbiter debris. May as well destroy it. What is that? Must be for missions that are like satellite missions that I haven't accepted yet. Moon flyby debris. It's low. It's going to destroy itself. And we will go ahead and just destroy it. All right. No more debris left. Let's take a look at the tech tree and figure out if we can get coupling and whatnot. Advanced construction. So, ooh, I like those. Clampotron. Okay. So this is the thing that we need for if I want to put my lander in space and leave it there, and then build a puller to take it from body to body. This would be handy for the moon because of the ladder, but not necessary. The gravity is low enough to where you can usually jump in. I like the advanced construction because I want to be able to build these with these tricouplers. I really like that for transmuner injection. I think that'll be really good for the puller. Don't think I need any of those at the moment. I have a tendency to build large landers because I want to take lots of sciencey stuff with me. Kind of want that too. So I only have 171 science. I want to spend 180. So I wonder if it's worth... All right, I know I need coupling for sure. So let's just get that for now. Exit. Let's look at what our next contracts are. It wants me to land on the moon next, as well as positioning satellites around here and there. Wants me to rescue another Kerbin. Okay, if I do this with what I've got right now, then I need to adapt my current asparagus staging transmuner injection piece with a puller, or with at least the ability to dock. Think about that for a minute. If I take off the capsule at the top and just put a docking node on it, it'll reduce a lot of weight, give you that whole stage, and then I have the lander. I think that might work. Okay. In our next adventure, we are going to land on the moon using the lander that you've seen me doing here, using here with some revisions. So thank you for watching today. I hope you had fun. I sure did. I always do. I'll see you next time. FishX out.